Hello, everyone. How are you doing tonight? Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. I'm doing pretty good. It's a gorgeous day in Austin, Texas here. Very sunny and nice. Well, I just wanted to say first, I appreciate all of you coming here tonight. I know it's a little bit late on this afternoon, but I want to just go ahead and dive into the material because I'm just really excited to get started. So tonight I'm going to be talking about how to use options trading to change your life because, well, that's basically what I do. So we're going to be talking about a couple things throughout our hour together. Number one, we're going to be talking about how I multiplied my accounts relatively safely. The reason we talk about this is because, well, if you want to do the same thing, I mean, you need to look at some examples for how to replicate it, right? We are specifically going to be talking about trading small accounts, mainly because that's primarily what I focus on. But keep in mind that, of course, in options trading, you can use any number of contracts that you choose. And I'm specifically going to be going through my 5-star tips in how I actually do this with my small accounts. Next, I'm going to be giving you my options account growth checklist. I think this is absolutely critical. It's really the backbone of the book that I'm currently writing right now. And I wanted to give you this checklist so you can work on growing your own accounts. I will also be talking about my top 3 trading setups and asking you about some of yours. And then we'll do a little bit of looking forward. What is the next year going to bring? So, for me, I'm here because I love sharing what I've learned with you. And my purpose here tonight is just to tell you how things have been going, especially focusing on the last couple weeks. I want to show you that so that you can learn from it and grow as well, because I would never be here if it wasn't for my mentors before me showing me how it's done. So let's talk a little bit about high probability, because I think this is something that's really important in trading and it's not honed in on enough. So for me, I focus on probability, okay? Because I focus on trading small accounts, my primary goal is always to look for the highest probability trade. And people will ask me, they'll say, hey, how is your accuracy so good? How do you pick winners more than losers? How do you do this? Well, it's because I had to, when I was first starting out, I really had to focus on high probability trades or else I was going to blow out. So that is what I do. Now, I'm going to show you a couple examples because I want you to know about the type of trading that I do, because you here tonight, I'm sure you're looking and saying, hey, is this something that works for me? Is it something that's not? So I'm going to show you a little bit about myself. So here is one example of one of my options accounts. This is an account that was about $6,000 at the beginning of the year. This screenshot was from mid-July. So I traded it from 16K to about 6,500. That was about $10,000 growth in about a 6-week time frame. As you can see, the trades here, I mean, they're not big, but they add up. So someone might say, hey, well, Danielle, that was July. What about August? Great. Well, by August, another 2 weeks later, I had traded it up to about $15,000, which was equal to a 300% growth on a $6,000 account. So, this is the type of trading that I like to do, and I'm going to get into that right now. So I grow my accounts via 5-star trading. This is something that I've come up with. This is the name that I've come up with because I used to be a teacher and I always like to rank and grade things. And so I think of it on a scale of 5 stars. Let's say you had 5 blank stars, okay? And you're looking at a pattern on your charts and you're trying to decide, should I trade this or not? Well, essentially, I have a ranking system, and the highest probability setups that have the most confluence, that are proven to have an edge, get the most stars. If I'm looking at a setup, and this happens in the trading room all the time, people ask me about something and I say, maybe it's 2 or 3 stars, it might work. I'm going to pass on it, okay? Because when you're growing a small account, you don't need something that only gets a 3 out of 5. Imagine you're buying something on Amazon, right? I'm looking for the 4s and the 5s, and this is why I call my trading strategy overall 5-star trading, okay? Because I'm focusing on high probability trading. So I share my method in my 5-star newsletter, in my mastery program, on TV and more, but it's really a compilation of multiple setups, okay? I'm looking at the squeeze. How many of you are familiar with the squeeze? Yes, absolutely. We have a lot of squeeze traders in here, of course. You know, John and Henry, they have been my primary mentors. I love a squeeze all day, every day, in any type of setup. But what I have learned from learning from a variety of different mentors is that the more you combine these high probability setups, the better setup you get, okay? So I also love Fibonacci. I'm sure we have some Carolyn fans in here, some Fibonacci fans. For me, I've discovered throughout my career, I also love relative strength and high short interest. I know we've had a bunch of short squeezes lately. And I love trading with the trend. So here's an example of, you know, 5 different high probability setups. So, you know, you could trade a squeeze just by itself. You wouldn't need Fibonacci. You wouldn't need a Phoenix. You wouldn't need high short interest. You could trade it by itself. But if you said to yourself, hey, I want to combine the squeeze with Fibonacci. I want to combine it with a relative strength ticker, or I want to combine it with high short interest. That's how you go from a 1, 2, 3-star setup to a 5-star setup, okay? So in my trading, I focus on looking for as much confluence as possible, which is how I select my trades, okay? And that is what I call 5-star trading. So here's a couple different examples. This was a setup in ZS. So Zscaler, this is a pretty hot name as of late. It's in a hot industry group, so that gets 1 star right there. We also had a squeeze, all right? That looks pretty great. We also had a perfect Fibonacci pullback zone. We also had a trend, all right? So, and then the final star was the high short interest. So when you're looking at one singular setup, this was the entry that I had, and this was the exit that I had 5 different reasons for taking this trade. It wasn't just one trade. Now, at this moment in time, I was working on growing my $6,000 account. So I took a small little trade here. This was a trade that I took for $323. That's it. And then I ended up closing that for $652 or $6.50 per contract, 100% winner. And it was within a span of just a couple days. So, you know, if you go back and if you look at that setup, I mean, of course, you could have bought 100 calls. You could have done any number of things. But for me, I was working on trading my $6,000 account. So I wanted to do something a little bit more conservative that I knew would work on this type of setup. Now, next is net. Here's another example. Again, we had a solid trend. We had Fibonacci. We had the squeeze. We had a perfect target right up here at 30 bucks. This is a hot, more recent IPO, and it's also in a hot industry group. So in my mastery program, I got in right here. We waited. BZO signal, and boom, gap up and off it goes. So these are the type of setups that I trade. In this particular example, again, I had a pretty low price trade. I really love to trade these low price stocks because you get a lot of leverage with options. So this only cost me, again, you know, $310 a contract, and then I was able to close it for $5.80. So 87 cents, pretty cheap investment, not bad. So, you know, basically I wanted to go through a couple different examples so that you know the type of trading that I do before I get into all of this. So Danielle, on average and maximum, how many trades can you have at any given time? I actually have a slide exactly about that a couple slides in. So we're definitely going to get into this. How do you find high short interest? So we're going to talk about high short interest setups as well a little bit further into the presentation. So don't worry, I can see all of your questions. If I know that I'm going to answer your question a little bit later in the webinar, I'll just make sure that I cover it when I have those specific slides up. So I do want to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle. I'm the Director of Options at Simpler Trading. You may have seen me in any of these number of locations. I am a pretty frequent guest in the media right now, primarily focused on CNBC, Trading Nation, and I love to post on Twitter as well, so you can find me there, but you can also find me in the options room as well as in my own mastery program and on my newsletter. So how did I get here? Well, I learned from the best. So I started in the whole options world due to my father. He suggested to me that I should start options trading. I thought he was crazy. I didn't understand what an option contract was. I think it took him a while to explain to me. But thankfully, I listened to him because fathers know best, right? And John, of course, is my primary mentor. So when I was first learning to trade options, I mentioned this a little bit before, I decided to combine the high probability methods of different great traders and combine those into power setups, okay? So this is what I do now, but it wasn't always like this, all right? You know, I wasn't always going to New York and planning CNBC segments and running and, you know, being in the options room, stuff like that. I used to be a single mom, okay? I had to leave my fiance when I was 25 years old with a newborn. I had 800 bucks, 2 suitcases. He laughed in my face and told me that I could never make it in the stock market and I would never survive without him. And my dad told me that I could make it trading options. And I thought, well, what do I have to lose? I was determined to make it work. So I'm completely self-made. I learned how to trade options completely on the internet. And that is why I am here teaching you today. When I went in for my interview with CNBC, they could not believe it. And they gave me all types of tests and everything else. And somehow they allowed me there. It's hilarious. But I'm here because I used to be a teacher and I'm still a teacher and I know what it's like to be self-made and I know what it's like to want to learn something and have a drive to do it. And I want to help other people do that as well. So, you know, I don't have a degree in finance, but you know what I was really good at? Patterns, okay? And they tell me I'm good at teaching, but you know, that's what I hear. So anyways, that's why I'm here for you tonight. So let's go ahead and switch back to the numbers, all right? How much are you working with? And you don't have to tell me, okay? Doesn't matter. Basically, you know, in options trading, it's all about percentages. So one of the best parts about trading is the low barrier to entry. That's why I wanted to get into it, okay? It matters as far as percentages are concerned. The goal here is using what you have to make more. So here's a couple examples of different accounts that I've used. $2,000 with a futures account, $2,000 with a stock account, $10,000 buying stock, $5,000 in options, $6,000 in options. And you know, I've had people come and laugh and say, seriously, you're trading with $5,000? Okay, well, let's just add this up. So this is really just in the last year, year and a half. 2,000 trading futures, 15,000. 2,000 buying stock, 10,000. This is with my 5-star stock buying method that I have. Same thing here. 5,000 trading options to 25,000 in 8 months. And then my second options account, 6K to 22K in 2 months. So this is over $100,000. And I mean, I always love when somebody says, hey, you're going to trade with 5K. Yeah, I'm going to trade with 5K. Watch me do it. So that is what we're talking about today. Basically, you know, it adds up. So again, here's an example of a day where I had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trades on $1,000 day. That's a pretty good day. I mean, it's not amazing. I would say amazing day is like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, but you know, 200 bucks here, 190 here, 40 bucks, it adds up. All right. So I'm going to show you the way. We're going to be talking about the options account growth checklist next. So I want you to focus on this checklist. I am writing an entire book right now. My book is hopefully going to be out in January if I can finish it by then. But a lot of it is about this right here, okay? So you need to know your goals. You need to know yourself. You need to know the market condition, the setups you like, the strategies you use, the risk parameters you need, and how to execute. So let's go ahead and go through these one by one. Well, number one, traders absolutely need to know what their overall trading goals are, okay? So normally I target 50 to 100%. Ideally, of course, it's like 200-300%, but I at least target 50%. If you're targeting 20%, hey, it's a great goal. But the reason why it matters is because you need to know what type of risk you're willing to take. Now, I'll have people say, hey, I traded 1,000 to whatever, some crazy number. The important part about my trading is that I am making conservatively aggressive moves, but I'm also managing my risk, okay? I'm not throwing my entire account into one trade and losing everything because I went a little bit crazy one day, okay? I do not do that. So as far as my goals are concerned, last year I made a goal that I was going to buy a ranch, okay? Here's a webinar from July 2019. I made this goal. I was going to buy my own ranch. Here's me fishing as a little girl with my grandpa and 2 of my cousins. And guess what? I thought it was going to take a few years, and I started planning, and I thought, well, it'll probably take a couple years. and can take a little bit out here, take a little bit out here. Then the coronavirus happened. Oh my goodness. 2020, how insane has this year been, all right? I'm not going to New York anymore. My child is with me all day long. We're in self-isolation, pandemic scares, political issues. We won't even get into that. So my husband and I just said, you know what? We got to do this. We got to get out of here. We need to get to the water. And so this year I took the plunge and I decided to use some of my trading profits to get some lakefront property. So for me, 3 months ago, we were miserable and scared in quarantine, but now we're outside safely together, okay? Trading made that possible. This is the first time that I've really made a large purchase like this. I bought phones and cars and stuff like that, but buying real estate using trading money was absolutely, number one, terrifying, but huge for me. So for you, when you're thinking about this, I really want you to think about what are your goals. You need to know your goals so that you know what you're aiming for. The next piece of this is going to be the market condition, okay? This is a question that I got earlier. How many positions do you typically have on? So for me, because I am focused on high probability setups, primarily directional, it's going to depend on what the market is like, okay? This last week, when the market has been topping out, I've been just about flat, okay? I had one position on because in my trading style, when I have a strong directional market, I'm just smashing it to the upside, okay? Focusing on the upside, focusing on the trend. When we have a nice regular trending market, 6 to 12. When the market gets extended, okay, that means that it's gone too far, too fast. That means that I'm taking money off the table and saving my money, waiting for my next opportunity, okay? Because that's what you have to do when the market gets to a high, or else, what's going to happen? You're going to be buying, and kaboom, it's going to go like that. Now, I laugh when I say flat on vacation because it never really happens, but I try. So the next piece of this is know yourself. You have to have a realistic look at your P&L to have a key to your success. For me, the biggest factor here is making a trading lifestyle, that fits along with my trading. So in this example, I'm going to talk about how I make my life and my trading kind of fit together, because I learned very early that if I was going to try to day trade when I had something to do in the middle of the day, it was not going to work. So I pick the type of setups that I know have a couple days on them, usually a couple days, maybe a week. And I know that they don't have to be babysat at every moment of the day, because I can't live like that personally. And it makes you a better trader if you give yourself a little bit of room. So about 2 weeks ago, I told my husband I wanted to go out to the lake for the week before our son started school. And he said, well, don't you have a bunch of trades on? I said, yeah, I have a bunch of trades on. I'm trading Peloton, Tesla, Workhorse. It's going to be fine. It's going to be all right. So, of course, we go out to the lake. Normally, we're here at home when we have to work. Monday morning, bright and early, my son comes in. Mommy, can we go fishing? Baby, it's a work day. I looked at my account. I saw that I was up about $3,000, and I looked at every single chart that I had on. I realized my setups were not to the targets yet, and I said, yeah, we can go ahead and go fishing. Sent out an alert, said I was, continuing to watch the positions. Go back, go fishing for a couple hours. Turned out to be the best decision, because then after I came back, I was actually at 4,400. So, these are the type of setups. I don't want to be staring at them every second of the day. I don't like to live like that, and I don't think anybody else does either. So I always encourage people to find trading styles that fit into their life, because otherwise it makes it really hard to be successful. So here's an example of a Peloton trade. Did I catch anything? Yes, I have been catching a lot of catfish, which is hilarious because I've never caught anything in my life except for, those little bluegills and whatever else those little tiny fish are. And I, for some reason, have just gotten really into catching the catfish because our lake house is on a channel. So we've been pulling those out. I post them on Twitter usually. Bullish and bearish, yes, but because the market has been so strong, I've been primarily focusing on the upside because I like to go with the trend. So here's an example of a high confluence trade. Peloton is one that I've been trading on the regular basis. Why? There's a trend. You see all these green candles? Gorgeous. It's a hot stock. It is a coronavirus winner. People are buying Pelotons because nobody wants to go to the gym. It also had a squeeze. It also had a positive VZO. It's positive on volume. That's very, very good sign. And it had high short interest. So I get short interest from a variety of sources. Sometimes, if I come across a ticker that I'm not sure, I just look it up on a free website. You can use Short Squeeze or finviz.com. We also have short interest in our scanner, so that's really helpful. But that's why I went ahead and got into this position, and then boom, off it went. So as you can see, a lot of high confluence. This is one of the trades that I was letting it run while I was fishing. So I was down at the dock with Leo, and I don't remember what it was that morning when I woke up, but I remember I looked at it and I thought, oh my gosh, I could take it off right here, or I could just let it ride. So I got into these for $5, sold them for 12, and then I got into these for 3, and I sold them for about 5.5. So just depending on the delta, depends what the percentage you're going to win, but that was a pretty solid trade because of the overall pattern. Now, my son, Leo, he's 6, almost 7. He had a fantastic time down at the dock, despite the fact that it was Monday. And Chewy was another one that was taking off. So Chewy, online pet care company, we had a trend, we had Fibonacci, we had squeeze, we had positive volume and high short interest. Basically everything lined up. We got this breakout in the mastery program. This screenshot only includes the last contract that I took off, but I had a couple other ones that I took off on the, let's see, this candle right before last. So on these, I do like to scale out. So I took out some right here, right before the breakout, and then I took some off here on the breakout. So this screenshot just includes that last call, bought it for 6, sold it for $12.70. So mastery members liked that one. And the funniest part about this one was when I was on CNBC, the other guy looked at me like I was a complete idiot for saying that I thought that OSTK, Chewy, and Etsy would keep going higher. And he was like, wait, but they're so overextended and they're at the highs, and no, I was like, nope, sorry, high short interest, it's gonna keep going, and boom. Have you seen a chart of OSTK lately? Anyways, that was fun. So let's be real. Yeah, he suggested selling them. You're right. You sell it, Gucci. Yeah, I always love when the person I'm up against acts like I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then when it comes later and it comes to fruition, it gives me a little bit of a chuckle, but you know. So anyways, you know, it's not always like this. It's not always like this, all right? I'm not going to tell you that the options trading is always like this. That wouldn't be true. Just for example, for last year, okay? July, August, and September, these are pretty slow and steady months. This is what I would call a pinball market. We're trading higher, trading lower, trading higher, trading lower. I still have trades that I like to do during this market environment. I like to use butterflies, unbalanced butterflies. It's not going to be this type of explosive environment, though. We just shift strategies a little bit. There's also the period of major aggressive growth from October to February. I made so much money off of Tesla and space during this time frame that I wondered why I traded anything else. The market crashed in February. Now, this is a completely different story. I was on the plane going to visit my dad for his birthday, of course, the day the market crashed. So I did lose some money. That was very unfortunate on that day. But then, you know, after that, you just kick it off, keep moving, and look at what's next. So at that point, that was where I switched to futures trading. That was how I multiplied my futures account. I really only focused on futures for March and April. And then back to May, we got back to this nice slow and steady trend. Nobody was really sure what was going to happen with the pandemic, right? Are we going to go back to a bear market? So I was being a little bit conservative during May. But as we got towards the end of May and then June and July, boom, major growth again. So, you know, really what we're talking about is like, what can a whole year do, right? Because there's going to be some times where it's, you know, it's a little bit back and forth. But what you want to do is you want to stick around for the whole year so that when these periods of times happen, you know what to do. And more importantly, that you have different strategies that you can use during these market conditions. So here's an example of one of my accounts. This account was $5,000 last July. And then I traded it up to $25,000. So here you can see, you know, how much money it had in it, 5,000. Looks like I lost some money that week of FANG earnings. Man, FANG earnings is the worst, I'm telling you. So lost some money the week of FANG earnings, and then traded this thing to $25,000 over the course of, it was about 8 months. So that was actually the account that I emptied to buy the house, as long as the boat that I was persuaded into, as well as the boat. But basically, you know, trading made this possible. I don't have to wait until I'm retired to enjoy the fruits of my labor, and I can work remotely during a pandemic. So here's a couple different 5-star tips, all right? So number one, successful traders must know when to switch strategies. During the end of February and March, my go-to strategy, butterflies, they were not working, okay? Because there was a historic rise of IB in volatility, and butterflies do not really function that well in that environment. So I had to make a shift and switch over to futures. So again, this is a futures account I funded with $2,000. At one point, it was $17,000. I did end up losing a little bit of money after I traded it up to $17,000, and it was down to about $12,000. And then I transferred all of that out and bought a house with it. So next, shifting with the times. We have to focus on shifting with the times, okay? Like I said before, there's going to be different time frames for different things. And, you know, you have to be able to switch with those times. Here's an example of the VZO. It's one of my favorite indicators. These are the sell signals that come with it. But basically, you know, you're looking to identify shifts in trends and doing different things during different time frames. So let's go ahead and get into the core of this, all right? This is the core options account growth formula, all right? This is also the core of my book, by the way. So When you're looking at a setup, you absolutely need to recognize a high probability moment in time, a specific pattern that you know works. All right. How many people can tell me what is your favorite setup right now? All right. Now look, next, risk. What is your current acceptable risk? Squeeze, pullbacks, Fibonacci, put credit spreads, squeeze, RF, VZO, breakouts, selling cash covered puts, WCCI, cross. My favorite setup, whatever John is doing. You don't have any. So if you don't have one, you need to focus on, if you don't have any, you need to focus on getting your own setup, all right? So you need to look at different setups that different traders do, and you need to focus on something that you think resonates with you. And then you need to learn that setup inside and out and make it your favorite. And then after that, you can tweak it a bit. So you also need to know what your favorite strategy is and execution, okay? So here's a couple of my favorite setups, all right? You're gonna use different ones at different times. I talked about these a little bit, but basically what we have is the Phoenix. I love to talk about finding Phoenix. These are strong relative strength tickers that when the market falls, they rise quickly, all right? When to use it? I use it to select stocks for trades. My 5-star trading strategy is primarily a focus on using the trend plus Fibonacci in the squeeze and buying pullbacks. What about high short interest? This is the short squeeze. This is a momentum breakout setup that you use at market highs. Stack profits is a really popular strategy because I use low risk, high reward butterflies. And I primarily use them at market pullbacks and with earnings. But here's just a couple examples of my favorite setups, okay? Now, going through these, let me just explain to you which ones they are, okay? So again, you have a trend, you have a bit of a 5-star pattern, you have high short interest, this is a hot stock, and then you have a VZO buy signal, kaboom, there it goes. I also got made fun of on CNBC for picking Moderna, but that's fine because it made a new all-time high and I made money on it. But it's okay. So, and again, you know, it's continuing higher. It's a volatile stock and it's really fun to trade in the options market. So looking at mRNA, this is one that I traded pretty small because I was working on trading my small account. $5.78, sold it for $9.50, 64% winner. That's pretty much the most conservative way that you could trade something aggressive like Moderna and just make some nice, easy money on it. Next one is space. This one's a little bit more volatile. You can see the pattern here. It is not a 5-star pattern. You're kind of back and forth. But I like this one because it had high short interest and it had momentum. So mastery members, we got in right about here and then boom, off it went with that momentum. So here's an example. I had scaled out by the time I took this screenshot here, but this is a screenshot of the last of the position. So I had initially bought them for $3.35 and I got out for $6.62, and the other ones I got out around $4 and $5 a contract. So typically I'm looking at, you know, 50 to 100% on the winners. Now the losers are important too, and I'm going to get into that very soon here after these winning examples. So Chegg, here's an example of this is really more of a lotto trade, okay? So I'll throw some lotto trades in there every now and again because, you know, I like a little bit of excitement in my life, but let's be real, we're not going to make all of our money in the options market based off of lotto trades. So I'll do them here and again when I know I have a really high probability setup and I'll get some great returns. So this one was Chegg. I was talking about this one on the Charles Payne show, actually. And this turned out to be a huge COVID winner right near previous all-time highs with high short interest. I think this one has maybe 25% high short interest, but usually 10% or more is good enough for me. 20% or more is better. I went ahead and bet on this earnings report because I thought that this thing was just going to explode on earnings. And I got into it for $1.10, which would be 110 bucks, and was able to close it for $750 a contract. So that was, I don't know what, 7X winner. So I'll definitely have those sometimes. I don't like to do a ton of lotto trades, but when I think it's a great moment in time, I will throw them on. So here's another example, CRM. This is one of my favorite cloud stocks. It's a little bit more conservative just because it's a nice, easy trend here. But I love the cloud. I love this squeeze. I love the positive VZO. This is volume, okay? It's telling you, is there positive or negative volume? If we're up above this yellow line right here, that means we have positive volume. And every time the volume dips and it goes higher, it's a good buying opportunity for me. So the VZO started to flip. We saw the momentum on the squeeze start to flip. The trend strength candles started to flip. I was targeting $210 with my butterfly. This one I did in the options room. This butterfly only cost me $1.45. And when I targeted 210, CRM traded at 209.5, and I got a double on the trade. So basically, you know, these are the type of trades that I do. You saw quite a bit of small account trades in here because I took one of my $25,000 account. I mean, that's gone. So I just completely drained that one for the house. I took my futures account, and then I also took money out of my stock account as well. So I was left with this $6,000 account. And if any of you guys have ever bought a house, they tell you, hey, you know, you can't change your financial picture at all. So make sure, you know, you don't move anything too much. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to trade this $6,000 account. And it was really funny because then I already made back my $15,000. So I figured they wouldn't complain too much at the mortgage company about the 6K account. And they didn't, so that was good. But let's talk about the losers, okay? Because there are losers. Let's not pretend that they're all winners. Here is a screenshot. This is my dog. She really loves the boat. But they're not all going to be winners, okay? But the very key is the losses cannot take you out of your game. Risk has to be controlled, and you absolutely have to trade a different amount of positions at different times, okay? So one thing that is people always expect, they're like, hey, you know, you had 15 trades the last 2 weeks, and this week you gave us 2 trades. Yeah, that's exactly right, because this week the market's extended, and this week the market's at new all-time highs. Would you like to lose all the money that you made on the last 15, or would you like to hold on to it? So for me and my trading strategy, we can go back to that earlier slide where I said, you know, my positions are going to fluctuate. And when you're trading with a small account and you're growing a small account, you cannot afford to be all in the market at the highs. So when the market started pulling back this week, I had to take 2 50% losses, one on Tesla and one on Netflix. And that was the day I lost money on Friday, and that was it. I closed it out and I was done. The market fell Monday and Tuesday, and I didn't really have to worry about it. So the mastery program didn't have any trades on. I had 1 trade on in the options room, which was Lake, and I should have just gone completely flat, quite frankly. But with my trading strategy, I really focus on, you know, nailing the upside, taking profits in a conservative manner, so that I'm not getting hosed on the way down, because that is how you lose the money that you make on the way up. So this is an example of a losing trade. I was trading Peloton right around here. So I was entering on high volume. I had momentum right near the highs. I was looking for a breakout, okay? And it didn't quite break out. It got right near those highs and then ended up pulling back. It took so long for this thing to break out. My options expired right here, so I had to sell them for a 50% loss. These were options that I bought for $250, and I had to sell them for a little bit more than 50%, 1.17% loss, and the next day it broke out. That was really sad. But that's just an example of the type of losses that I'll take. So typically, if I have a trade that's under $5, I usually don't take a 50% loss on it. If it's over $5, then I'll take a 50% loss. If it's losing, usually on something this small, I wouldn't have taken a 50% loss, but because it was expiring, I did take the 50% loss. So that's typically what a loser would look like. And then when you're focusing on winners to, 65% and more, and you're doing high probability, that's how it evens out. So there are losers. I cut them loose. In any trading strategy, you're going to have losers, okay? But it's about the combination of the setup as well as the strategy. So like setups, strategies are easier to master when you do one and then move to the next. What are some of your favorite option strategies? How many people like credit spreads? I like some credit spreads. I love buying those in the money calls, especially when I'm doing something a little bit more aggressive. I also love unbalanced butterflies. This is a least risky strategy for me. So for me, I always look at the strategy selection risk gauge in my mind and think, all right, well, how risky do I want to trade this actual setup? All right. So you have to know which strategies equal high growth. And you have to know which strategies are good in a nice, slow and steady market, all right? So for me, the high growth are long calls and butterflies. And in a choppy or slow and steady market, I love to focus on credit spreads and unbalanced flies. What about a trade time frame, okay? You have to know this. For me, most of my trades last between 2 days and 2 weeks with about an average of 5 days, but it also completely depends on the market condition. Danielle, normally in a call or put option, what kind of expiration time for options do you choose? It depends completely on the setup. So here's an example with Tesla. This is a Tesla trade where we had high volume at the end of the day. It was right up near the highs. I went ahead and sold a put credit spread on this and it gapped up the next day. I had an expiration date of 1 day till expiration, okay? Because it was a quick overnight trade. Normally, I would do something 2 or 3 weeks out. In this example, because I was looking for an overnight gap, I had a $10 wide put credit spread, sold that for $4.80, and it was a max profit the next day, $1,000 overnight when Tesla was up 8%, all right? So here is my options account growth formula, okay? These are the setups that I use. I focus on Phoenix. If you're not familiar with my Phoenix setup, it's looking for the Phoenix that rises from the ashes. Every single time the market goes down, like it did Monday and Tuesday, what stocks rose today? You got Microsoft, you got Nvidia. Those are the Phoenix stocks. I also love trading the short squeeze. I look for high short interest tickers. I love 5-star setups, nice, easy trends that pull back. This is about the risk that I do per contract, but I also, like I said, I'll do much cheaper trades as well, especially the last month after I drained my 2 accounts. But that's primarily what I do on a regular basis. I use calls, debit spreads, put credit spreads, flies and unbalanced flies, and it's all about shifting through time. So how do I know what to do when? Well, I'm a market watcher. I keep watch lists. I follow specific sectors and note when major changes are coming. I use my tools to know if things are shifting over time, okay? I promised you guys that I was going to give you my watch list, all right? This is my watch list for the coming week, okay? I'm looking at DocuSign, OKTA, Zoom. These tickers, particularly these two, they have earnings coming up. Same thing with NVIDIA. Same thing with JD and Alibaba. They have earnings coming up, and these are all primarily COVID stocks, okay? These are stocks that have been doing even better during the coronavirus environment than they did before. I also love Spotify, Google. We have Now and Veev. These are two hot stocks right now that have spectacular trends, along with even a little bit of high short interest. Then, of course, we have some of the major FANG stocks or some of the major tech stocks. These ones look great. They have really nice pullback zones. They have squeezes along with some Fibonacci. Then you also have some high short interest tickers. Coupa, Ollie, Pizza, and Halo. These tickers have high short interest and they're right near their highs. They're basically a short squeeze waiting to happen, all right? Clorox and Shop, again, are two really nice COVID stocks that have been doing really well and they're setting up. So you have my watch list, okay? How do you know what I pick? Or how can you figure out what I pick? Well, I pick tickers based off of big trends. So normally I'm talking about big trends on CNBC. Here's a screenshot with Todd Gordon. We were talking about video games. This is all the way back in April, okay? I noted April 7th that video game makers were gonna take off. If you don't believe me, go type in ATVI to your Thinkorswim and you'll see what's happened. NVIDIA, low. Home Depot, gold, and more. All of these calls have been on CNBC, and you can find every single video and article on 5startrader.com going back months, okay? I look at major trends, and that is how I focus on where I'm going to be trading options. But I don't just do it with options, okay? I also do it with stocks as well. And this is a new change that I made to my mastery program because people were asking, Danielle, how do you grow a $2,000 stock account? Okay, how do you grow a $10,000 stock account? So what I decided to do is I decided to let my mastery members know when I'm adding positions to my long stock accounts as well. So here's an example of one of my stock accounts. I decided to start it with $10,000. Basically, I have a formula where I transfer $400 per month on an automatic basis, and then I use that to buy stocks. So started with 10, transferred just a little bit per month, and then what I do is every month I buy 2-3 stocks. And if we're at a point where the market's up at the highs, then I'm not buying anything, okay? So maybe you get stock alerts here, here, and here, and here, but then when it's up here, I'm not buying stocks. Maybe I'm buying gold or TLT or something like that. Obviously, stock market crashed in February, but it's back up here, and that was the point where I was able to take out some money for the house. And we went back down to about 15K, and now I'm trading it back up again. So, you can't really see this screenshot. I tried to make this bigger. Maybe you can see this a little bit. But here's just some of the picks in here. MDB is up 42%. Adobe's up 58%. I had a few losers. Home Builders was down about 4%. Disney, that got whacked by the coronavirus. Semiconductors, 8%. Microsoft, 60%. AXP, that also got whacked by the coronavirus. And then we have Salesforce and Chegg, 72% winner, LRCX up 11%. So moral of the story, that's what I do. For me, it's all about community. It's all about, meeting other traders, talking to other traders. That is how I got my start. And that's why I think it's absolutely critical. So I do post on Twitter quite a bit at Trader Danielle. You can also see me in the options room, usually 3 times a week or so, but the majority of my trades go into the mastery community. This from Thomas in Houston was like the nicest thing anyone ever said to me. A day without Danielle is a day without sunshine. So I appreciate that, Thomas in Houston, that made my day. But basically the reason why I do all of this, okay, is because I want to share the knowledge that I have with other people so that they can continue learning. And when I get comments like this is what makes me want to keep going, okay? When I know that my butterflies are working for people, when I know that, Tim, you made $29,000 on my Tesla call. Rebecca, love Rebecca, is amazing. Rebecca's always messaging me on Twitter and in the mastery room. And it makes me so happy when people are able to learn from what I'm doing, okay? So I took a couple screenshots. I didn't add all of them, but this is basically my withdrawals. You just have like withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal. Lake houses are very expensive. So here's, $10,000 from one Thinkorswim account. I already took another $10,000 out of that one. Took another $10,000 out of, this was the futures account. I forgot to take a screenshot of the stock account, but it's all right. So of course, then I got sucked into buying a boat. It is from 1994, but let me tell you, it still works. So it wasn't the most expensive boat on the planet, but it actually does get you out on the lake. So 6 feet ahoy, and here's the sunset. So, basically over the course of the last year, basically everything has changed for me. I never would have been able to do things like this, like buy a boat or buy a house on the lake in Texas. I never would have been able to do that within that time frame if it wasn't for, this money that I make in my trading account. So, basically it was really hard for me to take all those money on my accounts. I can't even tell you. I poured John, I'm texting John, are you sure it's okay? I'm just going to drain all these accounts. I'm freaking out here. He's like, Danielle, if you're freaking out, just relax, you don't have to buy the lake house. I was like, no, I want the lake house. I'm going to have to start over again with all my trading accounts. So that's what I did. I decided to slash my trading accounts, use that money for investment property. But now I have to start the challenge over again where I'm going to trade them back up. So if you want to be along with the journey with me, you can join me. All right. And the way that you can join me is through my Stacked Profits Mastery Program. So this is really, a year ago I started this, and this is something that I've really just become to love. All right. I started because people were asking me, Danielle, I love how you trade. I love how you trade small accounts. I like how you do it in a conservative way. It's not too crazy. I want to be able to follow all your trades. I know you're in the options room, but you're only there a couple times. How do I follow you? So this is how the mastery program came to be, okay? In this program, what I have done is I've designed it so that people could get the things that they were asking me for, all right? People wanted to, be able to effectively look over my shoulder as I trade, of course, online, because otherwise it'd be creepy, but I'm just kidding. But look over my shoulder as I trade, okay? So everything that I'm looking at, I'm posting in my mastery program, okay? I have push notifications. I'm posting usually twice per day, not every single day, but most days, twice per day, market updates. I post the trades that I'm looking at. I post my watch list, all right? You're going to know exactly what I'm watching and why. When I get into a trade, I specifically say, hey, I'm getting into Chegg because it is a high short interest stock. It's right up at the highs and we have a squeeze. Here is my stop. Here is my target. All right. So one of the pieces of feedback that I got was people wanted to know exactly why. That is what I post. The next piece of this is that we have an exclusive community, all right, where once per month we all get together for live trading. Y'all can chat with each other. I explain to you the current market state. Throughout this presentation, I told you the different market conditions that I trade and why I trade different strategies at those times. When we get together once per month, I let you know, hey, this is the market condition that we're in. These are the high probability setups that we're looking at right now. And these are the things that we are not going to do right now because you're going to get yourself burned, okay? So we also catch up once per month on those very important factors. If you want to become a member, you're going to receive all this content and more via push notification through the exclusive member portal. So the mastery program includes all of these things, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and type the link for you. You can go to simplertrading.com/profits. And this is where you can see everything that is available to you within the mastery program. Like I mentioned, we have the once per month live trading. During that live trading session, we have an interactive Q&A. This is usually 3 hours. Sometimes I go more. We also have real-time alerts. Like I mentioned, normally once per day. There are some weird days where, I have to take my son to the doctor or something like that. But for the most part, I'm pretty communicative almost every day. I also give you my weekly watch list every week. If it doesn't change, then I don't update it and I let you know. But I always give you the tickers that I'm watching, even if I'm not going to trade them. The mastery program also has a trade spreadsheet, all right? So you can see every single trade that I'm doing, my entry and exit price, when I got in, when I got out. One of my favorite emails was from a guy who emailed me and said, hey, Danielle, I looked at all your trades and I realized that your most profitable trades are mostly butterflies and they have a really good win rate. And you also have an amazing win rate overall. I was like, yeah, I know. Thank you. That's why I always tell people that butterflies are a really high probability type of ticker. So people will think, oh, butterflies might be a little bit complicated, but I'm giving exactly the entry and exit orders. And I also post screenshots of what the entry and exit order looks like. I also have content within the mastery program that explains how to get in and out of butterflies. So, like I said before, butterflies are one piece of the mastery program. I do calls, spreads, credit spreads, all that kind of stuff. But I do love butterflies because they're so cheap. You have a very low risk, very high reward situation. So I do like to do those if I can. Now, like I said, you get push notifications, okay? With a phone, all you got to do is download the Simpler Trading app, and that is where you're going to get my push notifications. I give you trade entries, trade exits. I also update you on the trades that we're in. And like I said, those market updates. So for example, today and yesterday, I was primarily looking at the fact that the markets extended up at highs and we went flat last Friday. So we didn't have any problems with the Monday and Tuesday down days, but I let my members know. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to wait until we get a better pullback and we get a more high probability setup, and then I'm going to get back in. I also, like I mentioned, I post my weekly watch list so that even if I'm only trading 5 tickers, you're going to have a list of 15, 20 tickers. So if you want to go out on your own and you want to trade some of the other setups that I'm looking at, you're going to have that on your watch list and you're going to know those are the ones that I'm looking at. So here is a list of the live trading sessions. And as you can see, we have a link down here, simplertrading.com/profits. I posted it in the presenter's post up ahead. So you should be able to get that. You can go to this website right here. If you go to this website, the Stack Profits Mastery Program, you can scroll down and you can read all this information that I'm giving you. So, if you want to know about the live trading dates, you can find them right here, all right? This month, our live trading date is going to be on August 27th, 2 days after my birthday. Hopefully the market's going to give me a nice birthday present, but I guess we'll see. So we do have our monthly live trading session. I will do bonuses every now and then. Like, for example, when the market crashed, I did a couple around then. And, if something comes up, if the market shifts, I'll do a bonus session. But these are the ones that are on the calendar. Now, you might ask me, well, what if I can't attend? So if you're not able to attend, every single thing is recorded. And even if you attend and you want to watch again, you can, because we have a live session archive. And you know what the best part is here? So if you sign up right now, you get access to every single live trading session and all of my notes that I've ever done over the course of the program for the past year. So you could literally sit here and binge this like Netflix if you wanted to. And every single month, I upload a document of notes along with the live trading session so that you can study along. I also have exclusive member content, okay? So we have a learning center. I'm working on adding even more videos to this right now, but basically I've added videos on the core of my strategy, such as the market internals, using different option strategies in different environments. And another one here about market internals, because it's very important. This one's a little bit more in depth. This one is a little bit more of an overview. So you have some exclusive member content in your learning center that you can look at to get a little bit more familiar with my trading strategy. So if you would like to join me right now, our price is $397 for the quarter or $1,297 for the year, okay? You can go to the website, simplertrading.com/profits, or you can call 512, forget everyone's not in Texas, 512-266-8659, and we have our team standing by right now. So let me go ahead and type this out for you. You go to simplertrading.com/profits, okay? Or call 512. Every single time I almost accidentally put my phone number when I do that. That would be funny, wouldn't it? 266-8659, which is not my phone number, but I did almost accidentally put it again. And then we also do accept PayPal credit. So if you'd like to add the product to your cart and click on PayPal credit, you can apply for PayPal with 0% interest for 6 months. And I wanted to throw in a bonus coupon, okay? Because I know, and I can see all of the questions right now. I want to learn more about your Phoenix class. I want to learn more about the VZO. I want to learn more about the trend strength candles. I want to know. Okay, so this is why I went back and forth and I said, should I just include a class with this? And I said, everybody has an interest in different things. So what I wanted to do is that anybody who's in my mastery program, when you sign up, you're going to get emailed a 20% off bonus coupon. And any of the products that you're interested in, like for example, the VZO or the Phoenix class or the short interest secrets class, you are going to have this exclusive coupon that you can use on any of my products. So, one-time use coupon of any of my products or my indicators. Do I use my indicators in the courses? Of course, yes. I absolutely use my indicators in the mastery program. Do you need them for the mastery program? No, because I'm sending all of the alerts. In the mastery program, it's really the difference between, and it's honestly kind of a combination, right? Because I am teaching you, hey, this is what I'm looking at and this is why, but I'm giving you all the answers. I'm literally just giving you the majority of my trades. So if you don't have the indicator, it's not going to be a hindrance. If you say, hey, I love your strategy. I think it works really well. I want to have the same tools as you. What tools do you use? I'm going to tell you the squeeze, the VZO, the trend strength candles. So you can do the mastery program 100% without the same tools. If you have the same tools, is it going to be a little bit better? For sure. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I give you this coupon. Do current mastery members get the coupon as well? Absolutely. So I absolutely want to make sure that my current members get the exact same offer. So if you haven't seen it in your email inbox, you should have it by now if you're already a member. If you do not see it, make sure you check your junk mail. And if you still don't see it, email support and tell them that you are in my mastery program and you want the $20% off bonus coupon that was afforded to the members. So one more thing I wanted to make you aware of is that the price for the mastery is going to increase after April 26th. So our next live trading is going to be August 27th, all right? For all current members of the mastery, this will not go up, okay? You're going to be locked in to your price. You're not going to see a price increase. After this, the powers that be, who are not me, have decided that this is going to go up to $597 a quarter and $1997 a year. So this is basically the last chance to get in before the next live trading session and before the price increase. So I'm seeing a lot of questions here, so I want to make sure that I go through and answer these. How is this different than John's small account? So John runs his account and I run my account. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it other than the fact that, I mean, John, you know, he's focused on trading small accounts and his small account mastery, and so am I, but I mean, everything is different, right? So I have learned from John. Of course, I use a lot of the same strategies, but John's picking his trades and I'm picking my trades. He's picking his exits, I'm picking my exits. So, you know, we're not in any way, shape, or form looking at really what each other's are doing. We just have different methods, and you know, you just have to look at what type of method you really want to follow. So you like how I trade? Can I stop and start my mastery course? Yeah, so it's simpler trading regardless of what service you're in. You can always at any time cancel, and that's mine included. You know, if you sign up for mine and you say, hey, you know, this isn't really working for me, you can absolutely cancel. What is the max percent of the account I'll risk in a strong market? So usually I do 5 to 10% of the account per trade. I try not to go over 50% of the account in a really strong market. It just kind of depends what the market's doing, but I really try not to go, I really try to keep it around 40%, 50% on the max. And then on the lower side around 20%. And that's because, you know, I don't want to, that's because I don't want it to be too crazy. Danielle, we'll use one account with, say, $10,000 in the mastery program that we can follow. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking to do. I initially started it last time with $5,000, and I kind of made the position size growing larger as I grew the account larger. So I haven't really decided, you know, what would be the best. I think I'll just maybe poll everyone, because I mean, I can either, what I do is I primarily position size at around $5,000 accounts. But with all the new members coming, I am definitely going to have to make some parameters around there. So I don't know. I mean, do you think it would be best to just start it with 5,000 and always keep it at 5,000, or start it at 5,000 and grow as it goes? Because last year what I did was I started it with 5,000 and then I grew it as it grew. So, you know, for example, like last summer, if I did one contract, now I'm doing 4, something like that. But when we have a new influx of members, I think that it kind of makes sense to do a restart. So I hadn't 100% decided, but I was planning on starting either between 5 or 10,000. What time frames do I use for time entry? So as far as the time entry, I'm always looking at daily charts for an overall setup. And then I look at 30-minute and 78-minute charts for entry, because like I said, I mean, I like to be able to go to lunch during the middle of the day. I like to be able to do my laundry, and I like to go down and go fishing. I don't want to be sitting here looking at a 5-minute chart, biting my nails like, oh my dear God, is this going to break or what? I mean, for me, that's not an enjoyable way to live. So I like using higher time frame charts, usually 30, 78-minute charts. And then the daily chart is always the setup chart. So the setup chart is the daily chart. The lower time frame is the entry. Awesome. You just signed up? Yes, that's great. Yeah, looking forward to it. So right now we're flat in the mastery program, because I got flat before that little dip there on Monday and Tuesday. But I'm looking forward to getting into some trades very, very soon. Start it at 5K and keep it at 5K. Start it with 5K and see how you can change. Keep it up as we grow. Can we please talk more about my notes, chart patterns, explanation? Sounds really interesting to learn with videos. Yeah, sure. So basically, I mean, you can't see if you try to log in if you're not a member, but I can show you inside the member portal. Can you start with a 3K count? Yes, you can start with a 3K count, but you need to make sure that you're looking at the parameters of your own account. So for example, when I post trades, I'll generally note, like I'll say, hey, is this an aggressive trade or is it a conservative trade? Because I will do some more aggressive trades. So when you have a smaller account, like a 3K or a 4K or 5K, then typically I would probably avoid the more aggressive trades. Like for example, sometimes I'll note and I'll say, hey, this is a lotto trade or an aggressive trade. Those type of trades, if I had a small account, I would probably avoid them personally. But you know, you can see, and we can talk about that a little bit more too. So basically, like for example, here's the June session. Okay. So I had 3 different portions, you know, and then I had notes to go along with it. So I note my exact watch list and I say, hey, you know, like this is what we're looking for. This is why. Here's the exact tickers that I was looking at. Here's the setups that I was looking at. NVIDIA, Intuit, AMAT, Visa, MasterCard. Here's the short squeezes I was looking at. Calls, I'm primarily focused on what option strategies am I focused on this month. Calls, run into earnings, short squeeze, debit spreads. And so here's an explanation of, you know, this is why I'm doing debit spreads or not, or credit spreads or unbalanced flies. And I mean, you can go through, like as soon as you sign up, you can see all of this. And so, I mean, if you wanted to, you can literally go back, you know, every single month. And this was like a bonus session that I did on March 27th. I don't remember why I did that, but I'm sure there was something crazy going on. And I mean, you can just go back and you can look at all these different months. And that's basically how I run the session. So I have notes. This was an earnings month. So I was talking about earnings at that time. We were also talking about a black swan anomaly. We're talking about the coronavirus. I mean, you know, basically it's whatever is going on at that time is what I talk about in the mastery program. Okay. So, you know, like when you take a class with me and we take like a Phoenix Finder class or whatever the class may be, we're talking about one specific strategy inside and out. And in the mastery, we're going through time and I'm telling you what I'm doing and why. So you can also go through, here's the spreadsheet. You can go back, you know, as long as it goes back. Here's the spreadsheet for you. We also have a learning center. So here's the learning center. And you can see a variety of different videos, chart settings, spreads, that kind of thing. And then my watch list is a little bit wonky right now, but basically, you know, I write a watch list update and then whenever the market shifts, I change it. So I give you my analysis right now, what's going on. So what's the difference between this and what I do in the gold room right now? So my trading strategies are going to be like, my trading strategies are how I trade. The difference is that the majority of my trades go in the mastery room. Whenever I'm in the gold room, I do trades, you know, that I come up with at that time that I'm in the gold room. But the majority of the trades are going to go in the mastery program. And then the main difference is just that when you are in the mastery program, you get the kind of the full circle. You get the watch list every week. You should be getting the newsletter every week as well. I usually send out 2 newsletters per week. You also have that once per month live trading session with me. The gold room is awesome. And I love the gold room and I love the trading room. But it's mainly, you know, when I'm in there, that's when I'm doing my trades. And in this, you know, I'm focusing on my full strategy. You want to learn how to cheat. You want to learn how to fish. Will the masterclass help me learn how to fish, or should I look at a specific class instead? So I would ask you, I mean, what setups are you wanting to learn? Because I would ask you, number one, you know, what setups have you learned? And then what setups are you wanting to learn? Because if you are competent in a couple of these different setups, and you know, you don't really want to learn more about these setups, then I don't know that it would help you as much. But if you want to learn about the squeeze, if you want to learn about high short interest, if you want to learn about finding Phoenix, if you want to learn about the 5-star, you're definitely going to learn. But at the same time, I'm also just giving out the trades. So it's kind of a little bit of a combination. The classes are, hey, you know, here's one strategy. I'm going to teach you one strategy inside and out. The mastery program is, I'm doing all of the strategies combined and I'm just going to give you the answers, but you're also going to learn along the way. For under $5 trades, when do you take a loss? So each setup is going to be a little bit different just because, for example, if it's under $5 and if it's an earnings trade, then I'll say it's all or nothing. But I will very clearly let you know it is all or nothing on an earnings trade. I try not to take a stop on something under $5, but when I'm doing a lot of these under $5 trades and it gets to be about 50%, then I will take a stop. It really honestly depends on the overall setup. So typically where I'm going to take a stop is going to be at the 50 period simple on the daily chart. So for example, you know, if I get into something for what, $4, and then it breaks through the 50 period simple and it just completely rolls over and dies, then I'll take a 50% or 60% stop instead of letting it, you know, go, because I don't want it to be full. I'm definitely not trying to ignore any of your questions. I'm trying to get as many questions as I can, but there's a ton of questions going through. Do you give entry and exit stops in your alerts? Do you have an example? Yeah, I can show you an example. I have the 5-star class without the live recordings, and I've been liking the credit spreads, but that ties up a decent amount of buying power. I only have a 2K account. Yeah, so I totally know what you mean. You know, for me, credit spreads and building a small account, that was the way that I first began building small accounts. So for me, I do like credit spreads, even though it takes up some of your buying power. So, you know, you kind of just have to look at it, because if you're working on mastering credit spreads, that is how me personally, that is how I was able to master the setups. So I started first with just the setups, and then I only did credit spreads. And then after that, that was how I started buying long calls when I grew my accounts more. So if you want to see an example of alerts, I can just log into my mastery room right here. And basically, I mean, you can pull this up on your desktop at any moment in time that you want. Or you can pull it up on your phone, but basically I have alerts on, hey, this is what I was looking at here today. Again, here's a market update right here. Here's an example of a watch list, ATVI, Coop, Shop, Amazon, DPZ. So, you know, you can scroll up here to some of the alerts. This is a trade that I didn't get filled on. So I didn't get filled, but I said that, you know, you should take it off for a profit. So if I just kind of scroll up, you know, here's an entry order, buy Netflix. Here's the butterfly. This is the price to open, getting long. This is a little bit more expensive. Another option is making it $25 wide instead of $40 wide. I like the daily squeeze, cup and handle pattern. And then Sarah, she also posts my newsletters in here so that you can check those out. And then, you know, here's a closing order, selling Microsoft Butterfly, taking profits to close, taking profits. I like the double here. I still think it's going to go higher. So basically, this is what it looks like. Crowd, this is taking profits on that one. So yeah, I mean, this is basically kind of a crazy rally that we've had the past couple of weeks, and it's been really, really nice. It's been great for kind of a directional trading environment. We've had a little bit of digestion the past couple of days, but overall, I mean, the market's strong. The market's great. It's been trading great ever since the infamous coronavirus crash. So, you know, I don't know. For me, it's just a little bit crazy because a decade ago, you know, I was living on the beach. I was teaching English abroad. Now I somehow found myself where I'm teaching the stock market and I'm trading options and doing all this crazy stuff. So I love sharing this with all of you. This is the birthday card that I sent my dad. So I was had my 6th grade class line up here and wrote "Happy Birthday, Dad" and sent it to my dad. Since Costa Rica's mail situation is not ideal, but yeah, greetings, awesome. Yeah, so I do take flies. I do take credit spreads, debit spreads. It kind of just depends on what the overall market's doing. Danielle, are you live in your mastery room outside of the scheduled live trading windows, or is it mostly focused on alerts, updates in between the monthly trading sessions? So it's mostly focused on the alerts and trades in between the monthly live trading sessions. So it's meant to be an alert service. It's meant to be for alerts. It's meant to be, for people who are working, for people who just want the alerts, who just want to know what I'm doing, So we're meant to get together once per month. Sometimes it's twice, depending on whatever's going on in the market. But it is primarily an alert service. And I don't know, I think that's the beauty in it too, because we have the options room and we love the options room, right? But this is a place where I'm able to share my alerts, share my strategies, and everything that I'm doing on top of what I do in the options room. 3 years ago, you were still fundraising for underprivileged kids in India for 12 years on Pro Bono Funny. That's awesome. What time are the monthly live trading sessions? So the last couple that we had scheduled are from 10 to 1, but then I changed it from 12 to 3 because I like the close better. So I think August and September are 10 to 1, and then after that it's 12 to 3 because I like the close better. Yeah, it's my catfish that I caught. I was really proud of myself for catching him. Do you teach specific option setups? Absolutely. So I teach my top setups that I use: Finding Phoenix, Short Interest Secrets, the Squeeze, 5-star pattern. And then I also teach my strategies: calls, spreads, butterflies. Do the alerts start immediately? Yes, the alerts start immediately. So whenever I send out an alert, as soon as you sign up and as soon as you have the app on your phone, you'll get alerts. The live trading session isn't until the 26th, but yeah, the alerts start immediately. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in the market. Maybe I'll put on 5 trades. Maybe I'll send out market updates tomorrow. It always just depends. I trade high probability setups. Okay. I trade high probability setups. So if I have high probability setups tomorrow, they're going out tomorrow. If I have them on Thursday, they're going out on Thursday. That's the way that I do it. I'm not going to make up trades, just to send out some trades. I want to send out the best ones that I see when they come up. So that's why you're going to get, maybe 1 week you're going to get 5, maybe 1 week you're going to get 2, maybe the next week you're going to get 10, something like that. It depends on how many setups are in the market. Will you explain the setup rationale behind why you're getting the trade? Absolutely. So I always explain, what the setup is. Hey, I'm looking at Netflix because of the daily squeeze. This is my target, something like that. So yes, I always explain what the setup is. And then I always explain the, target and the exit. Sometimes I forget, and then someone has to message me and say, hey, you forgot to put the stop or something like that. And then I will add it. But my intention is to always add the setup, the exit, and the stop. I know you can predict 100%, but on average, so it depends what those 2-3 months look like, because like I explained earlier in the presentation, you're going to have months in time where the market's a little bit slower. It's not as directional, and it's a little bit slower during those months. And then you're going to have months where, hey, you have a lot of aggressive growth. So I can't ever predict what the next 3 months are going to be like. I can tell you exactly what the last 3 months did look like. And then I can also tell you exactly what the last year looked like. And, that's the point where I was explaining during the presentation where I said, hey, last year, July, August, September, they were good. They were all right. But then October through February were amazing. February was a little bit wonky at the end of the month. March was a little bit wonky, traded a lot of futures. But then after that, slow and steady. And then we got to aggressive growth again. So it just really depends what's going on. Yes, if there's a bear market, I do trade the bear market. I did trade the very short-lived, most short-lived bear market in history this last time. I did trade that, of course. And if that happens again, we'll trade it again. most of these examples are all, well, every single one of them was to the upside, because ever since March, we've gone directly higher. And what I wanted to do was show you recent examples. You may have addressed this, the do alert comes at all times of the day. You ask us your work schedule. So my alerts, I try to send them between around 10 and around 2. Okay, so I'm pretty good about that, but I don't want to give that to you as a rule, because like I said, I send out alerts when I see something. So I try to make a rule that I will send something out around 10, something around 2. Like I said, I have a life, outside of trading as well that I have to attend to sometimes. If I have to, take my son to sign him up for school, or take him to the doctor, or do something like that. There are times where I'll miss my 10 o'clock update or something like that. It's not very often, but I do try to always update between 10 and 2. The majority of the trades that I put on are usually around lunchtime, just because I like to put on trades after the 12:30 time frame. But that doesn't mean that that's going to happen all the time, just because, like I said, if I see trades at different times, I'll put them on. But that's why, if you're working, you can look at the trade entry and you can see what my trade price was. And like, let's say that I sent one out at 11:30. You can look at what my entry was, and then you can say, all right, is it too far off from her entry or not? And if it's close enough to my entry, then it should be fine. And the way that I do my trades is I do my trades in a method so that they shouldn't be just completely different from the entry or exit price within an hour. So yeah, for sure. You're signing up too. That's awesome. You fish every day before trading. That's amazing. What do you catch? Are you sending text alerts in addition to the push notifications? So they're not actual text alerts. They're sent via push notification. Yes, JG, so glad you enjoyed it. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't like to be staring at the screen all day either. You're so excited. You just signed up and you dedicated this weekend to binge watching the archives. That's awesome. Yes, that's great. Okay, looking forward to having you join. You're eager to learn. Great. Okay, so I'm trying to scroll through the questions and see if I got any that Mandy missed. Mandy, you're on top of it. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Does the trade list show P&L for each trade? It does not, but I mean, it shows the entry and exit point. So you can calculate that if you want. It does not show the duration, but that's a good idea to add. Do you risk getting exercise when using butterflies? I mean, not really. Anytime you have an in the money option, you have a risk of getting assigned, but I've only gotten assigned on a butterfly one time. And all the strategies that I do are defined risk strategies. So even if you do get assigned on one side, you're able to just exit the trade with the same risk that you entered based on the other side. So if you're in the options gold room already, you're doing a trial for futures. Is there value for me to take your class? You're trading 150K in 7 accounts, ranging from 355 to 50K. Honestly, it just depends what you want to learn. So I showed you, the type of setups that I do, the types of percentages that I look for. I can't really tell you what you are looking for. What I can do is I can tell you what I do. I can tell you what I do, who I am, the type of trades that I do. And if you sit here and you say, hey, that's something that I think would work really well for me, then that's awesome. Join and you'll be in our exclusive group. And if not, then that's totally fine as well. Because I know what it's like to look at different mentors and see, hey, is that going to work for me or not? But I mean, I can't really answer the question for you. If you want to email me and talk to me a little bit more about your strategy and what you're looking for and what you're looking to add to your strategy, I'd be happy to answer you. It's a wonderful system you have. It's so nice. You have the good heart to share it. Thank you, Marco. You signed up for the seminar reminder text, but it didn't work. Oh, thank you. When will the quarterly membership begin? It is going to begin right now. So It's going to begin right now. The live trading session's not till the 27th, but yeah, there's definitely going to be alerts before the 27th. If you sign up today, I'll definitely start getting my alerts tomorrow. And the membership prices valid until the 27th, then they go up. Yes, that's correct. Is it easy to follow the alerts? I'm not a fast day trader. So I honestly very rarely day trade. There are some times where I'm going to place a day trade, but if I ever place a day trade, I will absolutely tell you. I will say, hey, this is a day trade. And that's why for some of you, if you have a smaller account or you can't day trade or you don't want to day trade because you're at work, and you just skip that one. And then are they easy to follow if I'm a newbie? So that's what I have stuff in the Learning Center for. And I also have articles about, how to read the text alerts. We have quite a bit of support articles on how to get through that kind of stuff. But you can definitely let me know if you have problems. Thank you for sharing so much great information tonight, Danielle. I learned a lot and your program sounds awesome. Thank you. Can one sign up for the quarter, then upgrade? Yeah, I mean, I would guess that you could. You could always email support@simplertrading.com. I don't think they'd have a problem with that. But yeah, the membership would start tomorrow. You had a coupon for Tasty Trade account. You can ask support about that. So you can email support@simplertrading. The text did not work to remind us, will there be a replay? Absolutely. So as soon as I get done here, Daryl will get right on the recording. It'll be emailed out and it will be emailed out and you can watch it at that point. Yeah. Are the alerts related to options? So I send out alerts in the options room when I'm in the options room, but beyond that, all my alerts go to the mastery room. So they're separate alerts. You recently enrolled but did not receive the 20% coupon. So check your junk mail. If it's not there, it absolutely should be. So I can check with the team tomorrow and make sure that they sent the coupon out to all the mastery members. They should have already sent that out. But if you can't find that, you can also email me as well and I can just give it to you. Keep up the great work. You're a great teacher and all your materials first class. Thank you. That's so sweet. Yes, of course. Close to signing up, need to sleep over it. I do not blame you at all. I love sleeping on things. So sleep on it. Let me know. I will see you soon. You could have a margin account. One of the accounts that I was displaying was a margin account, but you don't need a margin account. You don't understand my response on which one. How do you get the indicators that I use? If you want to get the indicators that I use, you can email support@simplertrading.com and you can ask them for my indicator package. I don't have the link just right with me right now, but I do have a full Danielle's indicator package as well. You second that? You're one of the best teachers. Thank you. If you already bought a pack of indicators, is there any training? Yes, thank you, Daryl. So that's the Danielle Workspace Bundle. It's right there. And then if you just want a specific one, we also have those as well. When will my account be resized? Well, I suppose I could start now. Do you teach on how to use the indicators? Yes, absolutely. During the monthly live sessions, I do use my indicators and I teach how to use them. If you've been in any of my other classes, primarily I focus on like one indicator per class because it's easier to digest one indicator at a time than putting all of them together. So for example, my short interest secrets class, that was where I focused on the Turbo VZO primarily with the trend strength candles. During the Phoenix Finder class, that was where I focused on the Phoenix Finder indicator. But during my mastery sessions, I used a combination of everything. Short description of short interest. It's when there are too many short sellers in a stock and they are on the wrong side of the trade. And then what ends up happening is because there's so many people on the wrong side. And then when the ticker starts trading higher, like with Peloton was, going to the dirt. And then all of a sudden there's a pandemic and everybody wants a Peloton. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean? More people wanted a Peloton than ever wanted one before. So there were 30% short interest in this ticker. And then all of a sudden Peloton's blowing up. So those short sellers start losing money. And because there's so many of them and they start losing money at the same time, they all start getting out at the same time, which causes the thing to explode because they're buying to cover, okay? And you have other momentum traders coming in to buy it as well. So the thing just explodes. That's how you get a short squeeze based off of high short interest. You signed up hoping for the best. Awesome, guy. Great to see you. Yeah, FinViz. We also use, we have a simpler trading scanner where we find them as well. Can you and John talk to Toss to add float and short interest? That's a great idea. I'll talk to him about that, yeah. When you bought them, an offer was promised to provide a session and setup. What email should I address my questions? support@simplertrading.com. Yes, thank you, Daryl. You're unemployed due to COVID and have time to day trade. Do you use screeners? If so, do you teach how to find trades? Yes. I do use some scans. If you want to email me, I'm happy to share those with you. I share them in the mastery program on a regular basis. Yes, I usually teach on a monthly basis, how to use my scanners to find trades and all that kind of good stuff. All right. Well, I think I've kept you all for enough tonight. If you have any burning questions, feel free. You can let me know. You will get answered. If you have a question about your personal account or how much something is or something like that, please email support@simplertrading.com or call them. If you have a specific question for me, I'm happy to answer your question. But I do usually get a ton of emails, right, especially after a webinar. So if you have this question that support could answer for you, it would be quicker if you could just email support. So I'm going to email 8659. So here's again the number 266-8659 or support@simplertrading.com. If you really need to ask me a question, you can email me at Danielle@simplertrading.com. Especially for people who say, hey, I'm taking this class, I'm taking that class, I'm not really sure how to put it together. Feel free to email me about that. I will get back to you in the next few days. I do always get, a ton of emails after doing a presentation like this. I haven't done a presentation for my mastery program for the last year. So, I've worked really hard on making it the best I can make it. And I'm really looking forward to going through the next year with all of you. Again, keep in mind the price is going to go up before the next live training date. But beyond that, yes, I'm definitely going to grow the fishing picture gallery by this time. Yes, Zach, I'm sure you can give me some tips. So thank you. I hope that all of you have a fantastic rest of your evening, and I'll see you in the next one.